moving on to a new factor of awakening. Yeah, the third one, which is energy, virya, virya, effort, energy, and they're all important. They're all important, for sure. And again, at the effort, the energy, it's interesting that they often are one of the important aspects of this effort and energy are captured in what are called the four endeavors or the four exertions. Yeah. And when you hear that, oh, endeavors and exertions, this must be some heavy, we're going to have to do some heavy lifting here. This must be pretty intense. I thought we're not supposed to do too much striving. It sounds like we're moving in a direction of striving. The four endeavors, the four exertions. We're going to have to make exertions, exert effort. Yeah. And on the one hand, of course, this is true. Mindfulness itself is not something that will happen automatically. There needs to be an intention. There's an intention to be mindful, and it's a cultivation. And what they're talking about here is, committing to a sense of cultivation, to an ongoingness, a sense of cultivation, an ongoingness to work in some of these ways. And that's what the four exertions are about. It's more about the steadiness, the reminding yourself, the remembering to remember, which is, again, the basis of mindfulness was sati, remembering to remember, to move attention in this direction, to not move it in this direction, but to move it in this direction. And the four exertions, and we'll spend, well, a month on this right effort, as we have with the other factors. And the four exertions, you've heard them before. I believe in another context we've talked about them. We did them in the householder retreat one time for the whole week as well, and some of you may recall that. But all of these things are so worthwhile to bring back and to focus, to move as we do in the daily sit. Let's put this front and center, and not just for one day, but in this case, for the month. It's that important. They're all important, all these areas, but the four exertions or the four endeavors, the effort, the right effort. And it's very much connected with right effort as well. And the first, when I first read this, four exertions, I thought, oh, this is going to be, what could this be? And then I looked at the first one, and it's, are you ready? When the wholesome is around, keep it around. And my first thought, when I first heard that, was, what kind of exertion is that? That sounds like pretty straightforward, right? But here's the thing. It didn't take long to look a little more deeply into this. If it were that easy, why aren't we doing it all the time? Why aren't we just keeping the wholesome around? Oh, probably because I haven't tried. Well, try it. Then we try it and we go, oh, right, we are complicated cats. Of course, if it were so straightforward to keep the wholesome around when it's around, a lot would be different in all of our lives, right? Yeah. And so there we go. With so many of these practices, right? They're so simple. The instructions seem so simple. But there's a difference between something sounding simple, making sense in a simple way, and it being easy to do, easy to practice, easy to stay with more continuity. And that's the ticket. That's why it's an exertion. That's why it's an endeavor, because it may seem simple, and yet we're slipping off that one all the time, aren't we? Yeah, yeah. So this is actually one of the cultivations. It's one of the bhavana. It's one of the cultivations. When the wholesome is around, keep it around. The second one is when the wholesome is not around, which, is a fair amount of the time, bring it around. Right? When we're in some unhappy space, a negative space, stressful space, obsessive space, right? Can we bring something wholesome around? Can we bring something wholesome around? That's the second one. The third one is when the unwholesome is around, letting it go a little more quickly. Not staying with it. You know how that can happen? Something really kind of ratty is running around in there, and we just keep going with it. Well, that reminds me of another thing that irritates me. That I can't. Nothing, nothing. There's no value added to staying with it, and yet we tend to do that sometimes, right? Sometimes things can go on for a while. Can we interrupt that a little sooner? Go, no need to go down into this. No need to go any further with this. Can I let this go? Can I let this go? Can I invite something wholesome? And the fourth one, maybe you can imagine what the fourth one is now. When, when the wholesome is not around, don't invite it around. It's another simple one, right? When the wholesome is not around, when the unwholesome is not when the unwholesome is not around, don't invite it. Don't invite it. Well, I didn't invite it. It just came around. No, actually, this is my experience as well. Pay closer attention. It didn't just come out of the blue. If the wholesome is coming around, it's because at some level we have invited it. We have not taken care there. We have not been mindful to see what's going on. See, we don't just so often we're not mindful enough to see this. We find ourselves in a negative state of mind. Okay? From this point of view, from the Buddhist psychological point of view, it didn't just come out of the blue. We invited it. No, I'm just responding. That's just a natural response. No, you invited it. You created it to be that way. And we do this all the time, We notice one thing, that reminds me of something, and suddenly I'm in a negative space. And it's starting to see this. It's starting to see it is possible to begin to shape these, all four of these. And it's very much connected with the move toward wellness, getting more skilled in these four endeavors or exertions gradually. But it takes what? It takes virya, it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes like, look, all of those four make sense. That's great. Cognitively, it's great that they all make sense. The practice is right, really seeing that this is very much a path toward more wellness. So let me take it up. Like, let me take these up as practices, right? So this is what we're going to be spending time on mostly over the course of the next month. I don't know quite how we'll do it, one a week. It will be a little bit different, And look, just now we'll have a good opportunity. We'll have a good opportunity to practice this. Not hanging out with the unwholesome. We got a big thing coming up tomorrow, the election, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's not hang out in the unwholesome too long if we don't have to. How can we stay? So much is what going on? Are we hanging out in a wholesome? Is there something wholesome going on or not? Or is it not so wholesome? Right? And it's learning how to regulate that and move toward what obviously feels better, moving gradually and learning how to sustain a space that is more wholesome and less stressful and more easeful, right? And so the four exertions just put that out in very plain English, plain English, great common sense. And, none of us has perfected those four exertions yet, right? Yeah, it's not about perfecting them. It's a path. It's a path. And that's part of this, very much a part of this path. Yeah, yeah. So we'll look forward to spending a month with you in these spaces and in these cultivations. And for now, we will practice together. Yeah. We'll see if we can keep some wholesome around during today's meditation. Okay. So first of all, opening up.
Oh, no. No.
And when you're ready, beginning to slow it down and lightly closing the eyes as you're slowing down your movements. And of course, at the beginning of the practice, what are we doing in setting up the internal holding environment, but bringing forward the wholesome. Softening the breath. inviting a bit more settledness and ease. And to stay with the first exertion, if you will, the instruction would be when the wholesome is around, we're inviting it around now. Keep it around. Mm. Softening and allowing. In the last few minutes, settling back, receiving.